Hello and welcome to another fly tying session with your host Scott. In this session we're going to be tying a traditional dry fly known as the grey duster. Now this fly is tied to represent something very small, very grey and almost impossible to imitate correctly, which unfortunately the trout can become preoccupied with on some heavily fished trout fisheries. And it's known as the Caenis fly, or anything small, grey and unidentifiable. So we're going to have a go at tying it here. I don't tie many traditional dry flies, mainly because I'm not actually brilliant at it, but I've had some decent attempts in recent times. Here's one here. It's not too bad, so we thought we'd have a go on camera. If the dry fly involves foam in any way, then I'm normally pretty good at tying them. So here we go. For this fly we're going to need a thread in Rusty Dun by Uni. This one's in 8/0, and for tying these fine dry flies I highly recommend a very thin thread. And for the hackle and the tail we're going to need an Indian cockcape in grizzle, and that's all there is to it. Now some versions of the grey duster do have dubbing for the body. I'm not going to bother in this case. I'm trying to keep this one as small and as skinny as possible, and I'm just going to use the tying thread for the body. So we're going to come in at the eye and bed the hook. And trim away. Then we're going to get a very small amount of fibres from the longer feathers on the cape. Probably no more than 4 or 5. It's a very, very sparse tail you want on this fly. And we're going to tie those in. And then come under to try and spread them a little. And then we're going to trim the length of the body. And then you want to create a very slim tapered body. And stop short of the tail and then come back up to where we want the hackle to start, which is probably about there. We're talking a couple of millimetres away from the eye. Then we need to find a suitably sized feather, which are going to be in the smaller end of the scale. And then just to double check it, we're going to offer it up. That's probably about right. So we're going to get rid of the fluff off the feather. Oh, there's actually 2 there. But that's fine, we'll just use the one. And then we're going to tie it in. And create a nice even base for the feather to wind onto. Trim away the stalk, and then take the thread right the way up to the eye. And then we're going to wind as much of that feather on as we possibly can. Now I'm using my very fine hackle pliers. These are the Midge versions of the pliers by Stonefly. And we're going to wind touching turns. And once you've got a full turn of threading, you can move the stalk away, the end of the feather away, out the way, to try not to catch too many fibres in front of the eye. And then we're going to trim that away. Now there's a few gone forward, so we're just going to gently push those back and put just a couple of turns in, just to try and tease them back out the way for finishing. Now to finish a dry fly, the best way to do it is to just add a tiny amount of varnish to the thread, like so, and then whip finish. Like so. And trim away. And then we're going to gently push the hackle fibres forward to create your classic dry fly hackle. And there we are. That's the grey duster. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.